Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, I'm honored to be speaking today on behalf of Youth Rise, a global network composed of and led by young people who use drugs. While the International Drug Control Conventions aim to protect the health and welfare of humankind, with much emphasis placed on protecting children and youth, young people are among the most affected by severe systemic human rights violations as a consequence of overly punitive interpretations of these conventions. Young people who use drugs are routinely subjected to the traumas of arbitrary detention, extortion, police violence, torture, and ill treatment in the name of drug control. These measures violate international juvenile justice standards, as outlined in the Beijing and Havana rules, for example, which stipulate that the primary goal of juvenile justice should be to divert youth from the criminal justice system. The consequences of a criminal record for young people are life-altering, ranging from discrimination and stigmatization to diminished access to education, reduced prospects for employment, limited access to housing, financial instability, and isolation from family and community. At the same time, young people's ability to exercise our right to independent and informed decision-making on our health, free of coercion, violence, and discrimination, is limited by age of consent laws and the context of punitive drug measures. Young people are often forced or coerced into treatment services they do not need, while harm reduction and treatment services tailored to the needs of young people are severely lacking, and access to up-to-date scientific information, evidence-based and human rights compliant education on substances and substance use is very limited. The Convention on the Rights of the Child creates an obligation to take all appropriate measures, including legislative, administrative, social, and educational, to protect children from drug-related harm. As interpreted by the UN Committee on the Rights of the Child, appropriate measures must be rights compliant and effective, and include the development of accessible and child-sensitive harm reduction services and drug dependence treatment, providing accessible, appropriate, and evidence-based information to children about drugs, and refraining from criminalizing children because of their drug use. Drug prevention based on creating fear, random drug checking in school settings, and expulsion from education for drug use are measures against the international standards for drug prevention and both the rights of the child and broader human rights standards, yet they continue to be employed. As already noted in the discussions today and yesterday, the number of women incarcerated for drug offenses is increasing while women access drug services at a very low rate. In this context, it's also important to highlight how young women who use drugs, including young trans women and gender non-conforming people, people of color, and members of ethnic and religious minorities, are especially vulnerable and face increased barriers to access health and justice in contexts where their identities are criminalized, oppressed, and discriminated against. In order to create a safer environment for all, intersectional factors related to age, gender, drug use, and socioeconomic status, as well as racial, ethnic, and religious identities should all be addressed beyond protective measures to safeguard human rights through holistic and comprehensive harm reduction and healthcare service design and provision, incorporating sexual and reproductive health services, including access to safe, affordable, timely, and respectful abortion care. Your Excellencies, drug policies made in the name and interest of young people need to be informed by those directly affected by these policies. To forge an international drug policy approach which is effective in reducing drug-related harms and ensuring the health and well-being of young people in line with human rights obligations, it is critical that international bodies and member states consult with and act on the input of youth. We welcome the commitments made to provide for the meaningful participation of youth in the development, implementation, and evaluation of drug policies and programs, including in the UNGAS 2016 outcome document, the 2019 Ministerial Declaration, and the UN System Common Position. We also invite all member states who value their young people to include a youth member on any delegation to future sessions, meetings, and events regarding drug policy, and we look forward to opportunities for dialogue, such as the upcoming youth consultation with UNODC. We wish for a drug policy approach that seeks a better tomorrow, not only for, but with the youth of the world. I thank you for your attention.